So this is a highly requested design for many years and one that I have painted more than once. It is Hocus Pocus, and it is a very long video, so anyone who just wants to see me paint, please mute this because I'm going to continue my story while I paint portraits. And that way you guys can get an idea of where I come from and how I got where I am and how you can do better than I did, and just have an overall idea of how it works if you're interested while you learn painting at the same time. I use just regular acrylic paints and the brush that I created myself to go with all of my tutorials. So I'm going to go into shop number 4. So without saying any names besides, Rose came with me to shop number 4 and worked beside me for a very long time. And other than that, I just want to start out with shop 4 was the first shop that I worked at that did hair. And so I had gone from a very overly sterile environment that I cannot complain about, and I cannot it was a beautiful experience in shop number 1, and then in shop number 2 it was a completely different experience. Number 3, I learned probably the most in the short amount of time I was there, but it wasn't a good experience. It was a learning experience. And so by number 4, I had already pretty much understood what was going on, and I was painting a lot. And even though I wasn't painting portraits and stuff yet, I got my cartoons down pretty good, and I felt confident about what art I was doing. And I still think that I was struggling with acrylic back then, and just practicing my acrylic on, but it still looked good. It was just having a problem with, with ratios and stuff like that, and shaping and everything. And so and I don't use a drill, so it was difficult. Like, you just anyway. I got a question that why don't I use gel, and I will get into that later in my career, but I want to answer that. And anyway, in this shop, I first was introduced to hairdressers, but so how we ended up going is that it was too far to drive every day, and the car I was using was really bad, and so I knew that I couldn't stay in shop 3 for very long. It was just a passover, but there wasn't a lot of shops back then like there are now, and I had to move all of my clients, and by then there was probably about 60 or 70, like around 50 to 70, and that's not a lot. It's about 5 a day, and so I was moving them across town on the freeway. So I had to find a freeway exit, an off ramp that my clients would go off of, because you have to really think about that. They're not going to travel through the city and through neighborhoods to get their nails done when there are so many people who do nails. And so asking them to move was always probably the most nerve-wracking thing I could say, besides running late. And so I had to tell them, and everybody was cool this time, right? So before I was losing clients, but this time everybody was like, okay, I'll follow you over there, because I think they felt that same vibe in shop 2 and 3 that we felt. It was too pushed together tightly with a lot of smoke and a lot of different people, and even though it wasn't a bad experience, it wasn't the same. So we said, okay, so we're going to be more selective. We started looking around for shops, and we find one, and it was all open. She said that Rose and I could set up our tables however we wanted to, and because we worked on a lot of the same clients and a lot of the same times and stuff like that, she worked at a different timing than I did because of her work schedule, but we did the same things. We worked together, and so I created we built this bar and shared a table to where it went across the whole back of the shop, so we could slide back and forth and get the supplies we needed. And that was before there was such thing as a beauty bar. It was like this real rickety setup, but it worked perfectly. And she didn't mind. She liked being in the back corner because she was just quiet and kept to herself. And so I liked being more out because I had to get down and do pedicures more and stuff like that. So it worked perfectly. And then the lady gave us carte blanche. So we started that, and then she came to me and she said, Robin, I have something to tell you, because she had just opened the salon herself. And I'm like, okay. And she said, well, this is going to be a gay shop. And it wasn't LGBTQ then. She said gay shop. And I was like, okay. And she said, well, you're not gay. And I thought to myself, what does this mean? So I looked at her, you know, and I wanted more confirmation. And she said, well, I don't think you're going to want to work here. So I'm sorry that I have to tell you that. And I said, well, it doesn't matter to me. And she said, yeah, well, I was going to bring in only gay hairdressers and nail techs. And I said, okay, but I have a full clientele. I don't think my clientele will mind. And she said, do you really think that? I mean, she was really questioning me. And then I said, I don't think they're gonna mind. We're here doing our own thing. So anyway, here we are in the back, and she starts hiring hairdressers. But first she hired the receptionist. So it was only the three of us working there, Rosie and the receptionist. And the receptionist was a transgender man to woman, and she identified as a lesbian. And it was very strange to me that I ended up there, and the more you think about it, the more it was like, what? And back there in 91, it was just not heard of. And I guess that this woman was on talk shows and stuff like that, trying to champion this type of lifestyle. And I didn't understand. I was in my early 20s, and I didn't understand it all. I had just had a baby, and something I forgot to leave out. I left out in the last story. So that's another reason that I moved to across town, was to be closer, to get my baby care and stuff like that. And so I get there with the baby, and then I meet the hairdresser, and the hairdresser I meet there is going to work with me forever. And so I'm working with these people then, and my clients, and I really start to understand what I can bring to the table and stuff like that. And I really start to focus in on my art. So if you guys are struggling and you aren't even 3 years in, I didn't even realize that I really liked nails until I was 3 years in. And so anybody that is thinking twice, I really want you to continue on with my story, because it goes on. But I didn't make a lot of money, but I had a lot of clients, and I was working diligently trying to get faster and faster. And the one way that I did that is I had a clock, and I watched it all the time. And I would systematically time myself from the first time that the lady sits down to polish off, to when the cuticles were correct, to when my application was finished, to when my art started. I would look at the clock and make sure that I could time myself. Now, I structure my pay according to 15 minutes. So if I had you for 15 extra minutes, it was a certain amount, 30, 45 an hour, stuff like that, so you could book me out the amount of time you wanted, even though I did charge a flat fee, and the flat fee was very inexpensive, and I undersold myself. And this is why. I learned it in this shop. I learned that when you are a nail tech in the 90s, not anymore. See, I have to learn now how it's evolved, and because I've shot so much of it out, I don't know. So I'm just going to say how it used to be, what it used to be called, what everything used to be, so that you guys can see where the history has gone to. So I'm working in this shop, and I'm undercutting myself. I am reading Nails magazine and everything that they're saying about fear and how it's going to be scary, and the HIV is a very, very scary, and because of I don't know what it was. I think it's every shop, but I knew people with HIV, and it was most dominant in that shop where it was a scary thing. We had a great time, and this is when I met one of my favorite hairdressers, and every day he would walk in and he'd be wearing the most brightest clothes ever, and his skin was like pure, beautiful dark black, and his eyes were like so full of life and so full of just like blah! And he would walk in every day and he would say, I rebuke the evil that is in this shop today in the name of Jesus. Can I get an amen? And every day I would laugh, and every day he'd say, and don't you start with me, Eveline. Because he called me Eveline, because I just mess with him all day, and he messed with me, and we just mess with each other. And so he got me these chitlins when I was ordering a plate, and I got him a million times with what I would do, and he would laugh. And the way that we corresponded with each other was just priceless, and I loved him with all my heart, and we worked together like he worked the most all the time, and then there was just craziness in and out. Well, anyway, this is where I picked up a lot of my other clients. So I have my old clients who've been following me around forever, and then I have these new clients that are from Crazy Town, and everybody is getting wilder and wilder. They're letting me paint, they're letting me yell, they're letting me scream, they're letting me dance, they're letting me, singing while I paint is like one of my favorite things in the whole world. And it's one of the saddest things about YouTube. And when I do move my channel over and have my videos someplace safe, I'm just going to put the music on where I don't have to worry about getting an infraction. In fact, I would rather just put the name of the person singing it all over the video, and then just play music, because I believe that it is the heart of how you get faster at artwork. And so everything's going accordingly, and everybody's getting along, and the front desk lady gets in fights with the shop technicians all the time. Like, she's the worst front desk person ever, and she's always late, and she always gets the message wrong, and she'll say, oh, I forgot to give you this message. This is before cell phones, so you're like, you are at the mercy of your front office person. And they would get mixed up, and I was so busy. And then I am hit with, Robin, we not only want to make this a gay salon, but we want to make it to where everyone wears lingerie. And it was like everybody, it was like the record, like, and everybody just shut up, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, well, I will do a lot of things, but I will not wear lingerie when I am filing nails. And she was like, well, that is the new thing that is going to go on in everything, and we're going to be, progressive with this and that. And this is when I started to be like, think about everybody saying what was the new thing. And back at that time, like there were trends that's when I was learning water marble. That's when I was learning stuff, and these trends were coming in, and she was trying to be on top of everything. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna have to stop right there and say, no, I will not. And and I think Rose backs me up here, but she wasn't there. And so she gets really mad, and she leaves. And she's a very small lady, and I'm very tall and big. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so I was starting to say, like, do I call my clients or not? What do I do? And after a minute, she told me that, after a few days or whatever, she said that she reconsidered. And I asked her why, and she told me something that was such the truth, and I can't believe it took her to tell me this, but it was the beginning of my self-worth. And she said, well, because you have a lot of clients, and I don't want to see them go. So she wasn't saying that she needed me, but she said she liked that I had a lot of clients, and she didn't want to see my clients go. And so she thought that she was doing me a solid by letting them stay, but really it was because the clients are word of mouth, and word of mouth is gold. And so when you realize that, and this is why I'm making a shop for video, mostly is for this reason. When you know your worth, once you have a clientele, then you can begin to use that as leverage as you move shops and get into the one that fits you. Now, that took me a long time to understand, so I want you guys to hear me again. You have to hear that. When you have a clientele, yet that is your worth, and you want to put yourself with other people who have clienteles, so that way when you move in as a unit, and you are guaranteed a better place to work. And so if you are working with these people that you love, then when something happens with the shop owner, then that is your family. You move together as much as possible, and of course you say goodbye to lots of people along the way. But what you're doing is that you are creating something bigger than yourself with the movement that you are creating. And my movement was craziness and funness and being able to say whatever you want to, and having horrible mouths and being loud and obnoxious but free, and just young, I have no reason to be cussing and talking, even though I do want to talk about these people that are going into shops. And you know what, I'll talk about that right now. People going into shops and rating the best and the worst shops. I don't know what that is about, really, but I think to myself, what an awful person to go in there and judge somebody without any time spent knowing their character. Because when I had my daughter, because of doing nails, I was not afforded health insurance. I was not afforded any time off or leave. I was not afforded a 401k or any kind of anything. So I had 5 days off when I had her. I still had stitches in when I was back to work, and I was in so much pain that the ladies were all offering me like medications and like hot rags, cold rags, ice, like all of these things. And I would go into the bathroom and tear up because I was in so much pain, but I could not afford to take time off. And for somebody to walk into my life and expect me to do a number 10 job every single time that anybody sits down is incredibly mean, and there's no other way to say it. And I don't know who started that, but it is mean, and they should stop it. We need to raise each other up. I mean, come on. I don't understand if likes and views are so important that you are going to just randomly just go and put people down that are spending hours and hours trying to get good so that they can do something nice. So do something good for everyone. I mean, what is the problem with not being perfect? And who decides what perfect is? Because what used to be perfect when I was doing nails in shop 4 is nowhere near perfect today. And in 10 years, what I'm painting right now is going to be so passé that it's not going to be perfect at all. Like, nothing is perfect. And it's about sitting down and saying, oh my gosh, I have waited to see you for 2 weeks because you're so much fun. Tell me what's happened. Tell me what's going on in your world. I want to hear, and just having coffee and talking, or just, or saying, what color do you feel today? And you guys both pick the same one. You're like, yes. And, you just become like friends and family, like sisters. And then you're working with other people, and they're like your family too. And even though you have fights with these people sometimes and disagreements, and you don't feel the same way about what team you like the best and stuff like that, it doesn't mean that you don't love that person. Like, I don't know, like, I go to work and I keep my head down, I do my work, and I talk with my clients, and I have a good time, and then I see them in 2 weeks. And when I was in shop 4, I'm not gonna lie, man, when I was in shop 4, I was struggling. I had just had a baby. I was working 12, 16 hours a day and 6 days a week. And then on Sunday, people would call me to get in because they busted a nail and they were bleeding or something. And can you do me because my sister's cousin's getting married, and everybody like all the time, and because I did C curves so well, I was just booked with this extreme amount of work, and I wish that everybody knew that sometimes I would only charge $20 to do a fill on a C curve, and that is because I needed to make my light bill, you know. And so here is where I'm going to talk a little bit about bartering, and this is where the magic really happens. And so bartering is great, and it was one of my clients who taught me about it, and she owned a insurance agency, and she said, Robin, how about you do my nails and I pay your insurance for you? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's not even the same league. And she was like, yes, I know, but how about this? Like, I get you the best rates and I take care of you and you take care of me. And I say, okay. And then, boom, that was done. Then I had the same thing. I said, okay, well, I do have electricity. So I found a lady who worked at the electric company, and I did the same thing. Now, I know that was the 90s, and you can't do that as much anymore because of computers, but you still can do that with lots of things that you work extra for. So I don't collect things a lot, but what I collect, I'm serious about. And one of the things that I do collect is perfume, and I have collected it since 2005. So my clients know that I collect it, and I collect strange, exotic, weird perfumes. And so like they'll say, I have this and this and this perfume, and will you do my nails? Absolutely. Or I'll say, I already have that one, but you know, just like that, like bartering. Like you can barter anything, and you can turn it into where women just tip you with things you love. Like I have gotten Gucci purses as tips, and I have almost gotten a car as a tip. I have gotten the strangest tips, like that caused me like so much happiness. And so over the years, that's what I've learned, because you sometimes do have to not take the cash, but you can get your bills paid, you can get this and this done. You can absolutely get childcare. Like that's one of the few things that's great about nails, is that you can get childcare, because most of the women who watch children like to have beautiful nails. And so like if you have a family of nails where everyone in your life wears beautiful nails, then you can just barter with those people and make your extra money and then live your life. Like no one really tells you the magic of bartering and what it can bring to you, because I believe without it I would have failed 100,000 times, like seriously. And it's strange, but the people that you need to come into your life do, and you have to have faith in that. And even though you don't understand it at the time, later you will. And if they don't have anything to offer and they have a negative attitude, you do them once and then you say you're busy, because you need to build your family. You have to build your family full of people that are like you. And if you feel like crying all the time and you feel like awful all the time, then you get compassionate people that listen and like you, and that's what they are. They're like more caregivers. And then if you have a really big mouth and you really want to scream all the time, then that's what you either want to get listeners or you want to get other people that are loud like you, but you have to fit them like a puzzle. And once that puzzle starts coming together, then it's beautiful. And it is also really sad when you have to leave them, or if anything happens to any of them, or just time happens and you grow apart and stuff like that. It does become like family. And this is why I am telling my story, is because you think that you're just going to sit down and paint a beautiful, perfect red nail, and then you do that a few times and then you're done for the day. And it's not like that at all. These people that you come in contact with change your world and perspective, and make you a different person. So you have to think about what kind of different person you want to be, and that is what you collect around you. And how you do it is when you go out to the store and you see people that are awesome, you have one hand done and you show that hand and you find that awesome person that you think will click with you, and you give them your card and you say, oh my gosh, your personality is so awesome. I am starting this. I am doing this, and I want to do my best, and here is my card if you are ever interested. And you wouldn't believe like how many clients will forgive tons and tons and tons of imperfections if they feel at home and if they feel like they're loved and they're part of everything. And you can even say straight out, I am so sorry that nail right there is so crooked. I don't know how to fix it at this time, but I'm going to try and learn, and I'm going to get that right for you because you are awesome, and I'm sorry, I'm learning. And you know what? Not one person left me because of that. Not one person said anything off, anything bad at all about saying that. Everybody was always very, very positive reinforcement, and that is why shame on somebody coming in, sitting down, judging, and leaving. That is just so mean. You know, like they don't even know anything about your life. They don't even know anything, and they shouldn't do such mean things. And so I'm sorry for whoever is getting judged like that. Like that is not normal. That is like the sign of change that for the worse in another change for the worse in our industry, is that they have made made up so many different products that it's such a dog-eat-dog world with these products that are all the same. But not only that, like if you don't have all the perfect products and the perfect this and the perfect that, perfect this, then you get judged too for that. I'm like, what the heck? Like, where are you free? Like, where are you free to make beauty? How are you going to learn to make beauty if no one is teaching it or selling it to you for $500 or whatever amount now? It's just crazy. So I am here to tell you, you collect what you can afford and what is beautiful to you, and you practice with that, and you don't worry about being judged. I am my worst judge. For to think that someone would come in and judge me as harshly as I judge myself it's just like, what? No, that's a no. And if anybody's doing that, just please don't watch it. Click off, ban, block. That's not what you want to grow here. Like, think about what you want to grow. Like, don't you want to grow places? Like, if you are just feeling down, you want to go into a shop and people are just kind and accept you in and make you feel pretty. Like, don't you want that? So like, that is what I want to do, and I've tried to do it. And I'm going to tell you about that later in my career as to why it doesn't happen. And so I'm saying it can happen. And this is how it does, is that you have to have clientele, you have to stick together as a family, and you move together as a family unit. When you do, you say to the new owner that you're going to go into, there's 5 of us, we all pay rent, this is the rent we pay, we have this many clients, and if you give us a discount from this price, then we would contemplate working here together. And are you willing to do this for us? And they will do the math in their head and say, wow, I have 15 empty stations here, and I'm going to get 5 full clientele techs. Or, maybe you don't have a lot to offer and you only have yourself. So you go in and you have to pay the price. You have to go to those malls and give out those cards and give out everything that you can to build that way until you have your unit. But once I found my family unit and we all moved together, we had leverage. And so we got better discounts on rent, and we had better hours. And like when I had later in my career, other ladies would take over my clientele while I took some time off, like long weekends and stuff like that. So it all worked out. And I'm trying to remember what else I wanted to say about this shop, because there's so much in shop 4. But mainly I was learning who I was as a nail tech in shop 4 and very much undercutting how much I was being paid. Also, that was the first time that I started getting clients that would fly in from other states to get their nails done in Vegas. And that was another thing that made me realize my worth, is when someone flies in from Chicago to get their nails painted by you, or just, they're in Vegas for that weekend and they know you are there, so they call you to come in and get painted. And it's a quick $100 just to paint. They already have their nails done, and you start to see that your time is important and appreciated by a certain niche group of people. And that group of people is what will keep you alive and thriving later on in your career. So just keep practicing what you love, be it gel, be it acrylic, be it feet, be it massage, be it anything. You have to do it the best you can do it so that people remember you, and then you start seeing where you fit into the industry. You might start with nail art, and you might start here with me, but you might find that you doing pedicures and massaging is way more relaxing to you, and serves you better and gets you more money. For example, I think that if I wouldn't be telling the truth if I didn't say that pedicures give me just as much happiness as doing nail art, and that's because I know that there are so many people with diabetes and people that have problems with their feet that don't go to anyone but doctors. So when they find me and they see what I can do, it is truly rewarding to me, because a lot of people won't even touch feet with a blade or with anything, and everyone has you so scared, and nobody really takes the time to teach. And so I had the good fortune of having a foot doctor as a client for years, and she taught me how to best serve someone with diabetes, and how to be most concerned with and what not to be concerned with, and just really getting into it with, and if it was out of my hands, I would say, oh no, you have to go to the doctor now. But if it was in my hands, I knew that I had this, and I never have one time hurt anyone with my pedicures. And I see so many people that show these horrible pictures of fungus and mold and foot, all these stuffs, and then all this fear propaganda, and I'm just like, what the? I've never seen that, and I have worked in some crazy places. Never. I have seen some sad things where women were treated very unjustly, and I have seen some women who have been so knocked down by this world, but it wasn't. Never have I seen this type of infection or anything like. I feel like so many times I wanted to say, why don't you just leave us alone and let us do our thing, and just go and bother someone else, man. You know what I mean? Just bother someone else. I'm doing this well, and I'm focused, and I don't know. I don't know why people won't just relax more. I understand that there are rare things that happen, and those people should be able to get whatever they want. I didn't say that isn't the problem. Sure, it's a problem, but the way that it spread around so much, it just reminds me of that. I don't know. It reminds me of the first years. I was just in so much fear of just doing one little thing wrong, and and I've watched this world get further and further apart, and further broken up, and less places to go, and less places like great nail shops where everybody is great. There's just less and less of them, and there's more and more products, and more of this easy, fast, 5-minute, dries quickly. Now they're selling lights and this and that, and you don't need a light. A light is an extra. Like a light, yes, it works, whatever, but you don't need it. And you can have a great time with just such very bare bones amounts of products, but all the knowledge you have, that's what you bathe in when you go to the nail shop. You get this knowledge and fun. And so that's what I wanted to say about shop number 4. Shop number 4 was just crazy. And at the end of my shop time there, the front receptionist and the owner got into a huge fight. It was like midnight, and they started like going in on each other, and like really bad, and then all of a sudden the owner said something that was so awful, and everybody in the shop just went and she ran out crying, and then the receptionist walked out all mad to her Pinto, and it was awful. and we knew that it was not going to last much longer, and it was going to be taken over by somebody else, and everything was going to go. So until this shop, I pretty much had chosen where I was going to work, and it didn't close. The first one closed, and then I moved the second one third, but this one closed again. And I found that every shop that I worked at after number 4 was to close. The owners closed them. It wasn't any fault of my own. No matter what I could do, as soon as I found a shop, it would close. And that is a very hard thing. And so you really have to have your family there as much as possible, because if you work alone, you just have to be prepared to know that shops do close, and that you have to know what you're doing, and you have to go in knowing what you have. And if you do have nothing, then you have to work hard. If you have some stuff, then you have leverage to work with. So please use that to your advantage, and please don't let anyone judge you. No one. What I do now is the result of dozens and dozens of years practicing just this, and I want to say thank you for everyone who watches, and get brushes. That's how I support my channel. Say inspired by Robin Moses when you copy, so that I can see it, but also so that you can show that you spread kindness. And if you are selling something, please don't use my hashtags. I don't want that stuff on my hashtags. If you please just be respectful, and if you see things that are hashtagged selling things with my name on it, can you please just try and block that person, because they don't get it, and it's not their fault, it's not my fault, it's just part of being online in the universe. So if I can teach you something from today, it is how to use hashtags, and you have to use exactly what you are putting and nothing more. There are companies that are built on offering you 10% of nothing, and they get free promotion, and that makes everything more expensive, and then you can't find what you need. Things go discontinued after one run, and so like you're getting these things as fast as possible, and they're just making small amounts and then getting more crap to sell to use it in small amounts, so that you can just buy it as fast as possible and not even realize that it's all a ruse, and it's all the same thing marketed and stuck into different stuff. Like one's top coat, one's gel, one's this, one's that. It's all the same glitter. It's all the same thing. So before you buy something, make sure you really want it, and make sure it makes you happy. Make sure that it's joyful. Make sure each purchase is something that is going to last. You know, you don't want to make purchases because it adds up, and each one might be the reason you can't pay your rent next week. And I'm here to say you don't need a lot to start. And so with that, I will say the rest of this video will just stay silent and let you watch, but I want to say thank you. And if you have anything specific that you want to know about shops in the future, please ask in the comment section, and I'll do my best to add that in while I'm talking. This is all freestyle off the top of my head, but I want to get down the basic structure of how many shops I've been at and what I learned, so that you can see that it takes a lifetime. It's not something that you just go into, and what you learn along the way is the true gem. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll be back with more, and happy Halloween, and thank you for requesting this. It was fun. I don't know how to say the name, Kathy Jimmy. I didn't paint. I could have done way better on her. It was if you guys are doing her and you're following number 1 and number 2, I would do her face forward, because the side view, it doesn't translate. So I wish I would have done it face forward, but I didn't want to do it twice, of course. So anyways, yeah, face forward, and I will see you back with more. Everybody have a great day. Bye.